So this coward sent me this message. And yes, I call them a coward. The reason why I call them a coward, because they sent it on instant messenger or whatever. But they ensured to make sure that after they sent the message, they blocked me from being able to respond. And my initial response was very civil, trying to explain to them what they're actually going through and the fallacy in their statement. But they blocked me. So you're a coward. You call me a racist piece of poop. And if white people invented slavery, explain Africans still ongoing slave trade. You just can't. You can't. You're just a racist, is all flat out. All right. So, your statement doesn't make sense, even if I said that. First thing, understand, I have never, ever, ever, ever said that white people invented slavery. That would be idiotic for anybody to claim that white people invented slavery, since we know that slavery has existed pretty much in 90% of the world's societies throughout ancient times. There was slavery, whether we're talking about the Romans, the Sumerians, the Kemetic people, the people in southern Africa, the Chinese, the Polynesian. Slavery has existed all over the world. White people didn't invent slavery. People, man, invented slavery. Just in general, man invented slavery. If you think about it, over the last 9,000 years, well, 12,000 years, slavery has been a part of our society at all times. Even now, there are certain systems of slavery that are still in place. But you got all in your feelings, more than likely, about one of my videos where I probably talked about the transatlantic or the trans-Sahara, well, since you're saying white people, the transatlantic slave trade. You got all in your feelings. You're like those people who have a problem with CRT. Let's not face the truth of what happened, because if we ignore the truth of what happened, then everybody goes along fine. No, you face the truth of what happened, and by doing so, you ensure that it doesn't happen again. You know the reason why in Germany they teach the Holocaust, they teach World War II, they teach about Hitler and Nazism and all that, but they teach it in such a way that they say, hey, this is what happened. It was a horrible thing. It's embarrassing. You need to know about it, but don't feel bad about it in the sense that it's your fault because you weren't there. But this is what happened in our history, and we need to make sure that the mechanism that allowed it to happen can never happen again. That's what CRT is really about. It's not about trying to make white kids feel bad. It's about making sure that people understand the horrors of this country in order to not repeat those horrors of this country ever again. That's the point. That's the thing that you're deflecting from. Explain Africans still ongoing slave trade. Okay, see, that didn't make sense. It didn't make sense at all. All right. See, if I said if white people invented slavery and Africa still has slavery, but white people did it first, then the black people learned it from the slaves. See, I can make that argument based on your statement. It would be an incorrect argument to make, but based on your statement, I can make that argument. All right? Why is it still going? Because they learned it from the ones who came and enslaved them first. Ha! See how that works? But I'm not going to be disingenuous like that. Africans practiced slavery before the Caucasians ever came down into Africa. Did they practice it in the exact same way? No, they didn't. It was mostly POWs. Some were integrated into their tribes, some were made warriors, and some were sold off as slaves. It was a part of life. Did they strip people of their tribe? No. Did they strip them of their religion? No. Did they strip them of their name? No. They didn't do those things. But it was the transatlantic and trans-Sahara slave trade that incorporated this new form of slavery that stripped people of who they were and dehumanized people down to the cellular level. That's what I'm talking about. And the reason why I say cellular level, because in the beginning of eugenics, they taught that black people were subhuman and that they didn't have souls. So understand the effects. And that's what what I talk about most of the time when I deal with slavery as far as the transatlantic and trans-Saharan, is that we need to understand the ills of the after effects of it. And in understanding those, we can build a society that actually has equality. See, right now, we don't have the equal opportunity to prove how unequal we are. The opportunities are leaning one way more so than they're standing straight up so that everybody has an opportunity. Some people is leaning their way, and yet they have specialized tools to help them become even greater, whereas those who are on the other side don't have the tools to be able to help them. We need to turn it. Everybody should have the tools, and everybody should have an equal opportunity to gain fruit from the tree. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about dominating one over the other. I could care less about what your skin tone is, because race doesn't exist. Race is something that is man-made, created by us. But there is no such thing as race. There's no biological thing as race. Everybody has melanin in their skin. We just have different degrees of melanin. And most of that has changed over isolation and adaptation while we were isolated from each other. And then now that we are mixing and we're moving more frequently, those other adaptations are not happening at the same rate, which adaptation takes hundreds, if not thousands of years to occur. So, and we're still adapting now. There's actually a bone behind your kneecap that we didn't have before, and that number of people who are developing that bone, being born with that bone, has increased from the early 1900s from 11% to 30%. And right now, the name of that bone escapes me, but it's behind your knee. We're still adapting. We're still evolving, for lack of a better term. But there's no such thing as race. And that, if we can all come to that understanding first, we get rid of race, that will solve a lot of the ills of this world. Then we get rid of nationalism. Then we will solve a whole bunch of issues. We get rid of nationalism. And then let's get rid of religion. And that will solve the majority of problems in this world. But you have a great day. And remember always, you got to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations. You coward.